Hello and welcome to the GrapeSEED official podcast. Teacher Says number 9 is our episode today, another collection of answers to a couple of questions from veteran GrapeSEED teachers around the world. Remember that these are their honest opinions and stories. What works for them may not work for you. At the very least, these stories can give you ideas on what to do or inspire your own journey of self-reflection. Today you will hear from the usual pantheon of Aaron, Alina, Will, Bruno, and Matthew. Let's dive right in. Number 1. What are you specifically doing this week to deliver even more effective lessons?
So I'm thinking about how to add in some extra bits into my lessons to produce more engagement and exciting. So for example, my Unit 1 lessons, I recently went to a zoo and I took lots of pictures and videos of the animals that I saw, which goes really nicely with Unit 1. So planning out which of those photos and videos, because I've got a lot of them. I can't just spend 30 minutes showing the students all of them. So specifically picking out the ones I want to show for this specific lesson, when to show it in the lesson plan, because again, I don't want to interfere with the lesson plan. I want the lesson plan to go without any problems. I need to think about time management of the other materials, and then thinking about what kind of language am I going to use, which is especially important for a Unit 1 class. I can't just wing the communication. I need to think about, okay, what is the specific vocabulary words that I'm going to use as I'm showing these pictures and videos. So that's something I'm doing with that. Another thing I'm doing is reflecting on struggles that I'm having with classes and thinking of ways to fix it. Going again with my Unit 1 lessons, they just started out and they're still learning kind of classroom rules and expectations. So one thing I'm struggling with is some students are shouting in class when I ask them to read and sing, which we don't want that. We want them to be using loud voices, but not too loud. We want them to be using nice voices when they're reading or singing, not shouting as loud as they can. So I'm working on making some visual aids to help me convey it. Of course, I always use gestures to like, oh, let's lower down our volume. But thinking if I can get a visual aid to help convey, okay, I'll be happy with this level of volume, but not happy with this level of volume. It can better convey the meaning, especially to these Unit 1 students.
I think that I get my students engaged in the lesson by having them kind of partake in hands-on activities. So we use cooperate learning techniques, something like whiteboard or other props to enhance the lesson. So keep their minds, the students' minds and hands moving, and you'll see that it will help you reach your lessons objective. And moreover, when I see a student paying attention, working hard, and doing what they're supposed to be doing to meet my goal, for sure I compliment them. So the important thing is to make sure that all students see you doing this, so they will understand why you're pleased, and in turn they will try to meet your objective for the lesson, of course in a positive way as well. And once your lesson's objective has been met, take a moment to reflect upon what had worked and what did not in your lesson.
We have 2 teachers at my school, myself and Arthur. And every Friday, the 2 of us swap lessons. So he teaches my lessons and I teach his lessons. And then at the end of the day, we sit down and we talk about how the lessons went. And we're always surprised to find out that some children act differently with him than with me. Some children are really good with me and they act up with him, and then vice versa. So then we talk about how we treated or talked to each of them, and we try and figure out what we can do differently to get better results.
Okay, so this week, and it continues from last week, and it continues in the spirit of the previous question I answered about success stories in GrapeSEED. In that particular K-5 class, there are a few kids, the whole class was behind, but there are a few kids who are quite behind. So I've really been focusing on a few particular kids to A, build their confidence, and B, give them opportunities to speak, even if what they say is not exactly correct. They need that practice. So yeah, that's basically it. I remember, I forget who it was, one of the trainers talking about how, every day or every week focus on a few kids, and then that way you can, everyone gets a fair share of your attention. And so I kind of took that to heart, especially with this class. And I've been on those particular kids that really, really need help. I've really been focusing on them. And then hopefully once they get up to speed, then I can start doing the same thing with other students. But yeah, that's basically it, because I don't want them to fall behind. So focusing on them.
All right. Next week, I start Unit 7 with my kindergarten class. And the week after that, I'll start Unit 32 with one of my older classes. So at the moment, I'm doing a lot of reviewing of the teacher's manuals for those units. I already know how to recite the materials by heart, but I've been specifically trying to memorize the objectives for the materials and think about how to ensure that I get the results out of the students that I want.
Goodbye, my friends, goodbye. I'm sad to say goodbye. It was a good day, but now I will say goodbye, my friends, goodbye. Goodbye, everyone.